Everyone happy? You rolling? Football first. Two home games this week. How big an opportunity is this, do you think?
Yeah, huge opportunity. I think every championship 3 points presents an opportunity. We had an opportunity Saturday, and I think we were disappointed, if you like, that we didn't capitalise on that opportunity and didn't perform to our maximum. And I think that's a stark reminder that if you don't perform to your maximum against any team in the championship, you quickly get found out. And of course, the challenge to the players now is to react well, to respond and go and put in a very sort of important, passionate, technical performance against obviously the two home games in Charlton and Wigan.
That was the first time there's been that sort of margin between the two sides, between you and an opposition side this season. Was it just one of those days, Saturday?
I think, on reflection of the game, I think the two halves were stark contrast to each other. I thought first half it was a very good game for us. I thought we created numerous opportunities and got in some great positions, and they caused us problems as well. And second half, I felt that we wasted execution, if you like. So we was in good areas and we failed to execute, gave the ball away cheaply. And on reflection again, i.e. watching a video, I think they were hungrier than us in the transition, and that was inevitably enough to get a 3-goal lead. Was it a 3-0 game? Probably not, but at the same time we've got to move on very, very quickly and deal with a little bit of a pride bashing.
What can you tell us about where you found Rodri?
Well, I think that obviously options are limited when it comes to that out of contract market, particularly as it sort of goes on sort of 6-8 weeks beyond the window closing. But we felt that something we wanted to look at was the type of player, so a finisher, if you like, a poacher, a fox in the box, and he came into that category. And also he came into the category of like having had a full pre-season, and I think that was important as well. Like with the team, I think he got paid up sort of last day of their window, which was a little bit later than ours, so he'd had about 25 days training, if you like, on his own with a personal trainer, whereas a lot of other ones on the list had sometimes 18 months or 3 months or 4 months or 6 months. He's had experience in English football as well. I think that's important to understand. He's looked at the Championship, if you like, for 6 months, a big club, Sheffield Wednesday, and he's at a good age now in terms of experience. You've only got to look at the likes of Pookie, for example, that literally was sent into every Championship side via, I'll show you, about 100 emails, and obviously he came in and Norwich took a chance on him, and he's done unbelievably well for Norwich. And some people would have wrote Pookie off considering his past, maybe at Celtic and other clubs he's had in the British nation.
Everyone's kind of watching the Eddie Nketiah situation at Leeds with great interest, and how much he's playing or not playing. Are you able to give some clarity on as to whether you'd still be interested if he was recalled to Arsenal?
I think, to be honest, I was asked about the situation and how it came about, because there was a lot of press on it, mainly from the Leeds end, to be honest. And I was asked, and it was a broad view really. It wasn't about Eddie in particular. It was a broad view on any young player going out on loan. And for me, it's all about concentrating on the players that we've got, and we've got a lot of bright young talent, for example, coming through, and like Semenyo and Seiko Jenner as well. So at the moment, he's an Arsenal player that's currently on loan to Leeds, and I presume that will be the way it stays. If that situation changes, then of course we'll look at it with a viewpoint in the market as it stands, but also depending on how well our young boys are doing and whether we can promote anybody from within.
There's been a big spotlight on the problem of racism in football after what happened in Bulgaria, incident at Yeovil's game on Saturday, and then some allegations made about a game at Luton as well. Steve Lansdown's obviously made a statement about that. Did you hear anything yourself on Saturday at Luton?
No, personally I didn't hear anything. I think I would echo the sentiment, obviously, of the statement and what Steve said. I think there is no place in any form of racism at all in our game, and the quicker it's snuffed out, the better. And I think that a full investigation is going to take place. I trust that investigation, and hopefully, if any racist language has been used, then those people will get banned from football for life. And it's not something that we want to be associated with or expect to be associated with this great football club.
Is there more clubs can do? There seem to be a few more incidents starting to pop up now, or is it that more people are deciding to report it? Other fans are sort of self-policing, do you think?
Yeah, I think it's a difficult one. It's obviously very topical at the moment, particularly because of the spotlight and the limelight on the international scene. And I think that there's no denying that it's been an element of racism for a number of years. I do believe it's got better. That's a personal opinion as time goes on, but any form of it is unacceptable. So the more we can do in terms of football players, football managers, to educate particularly young like supporters that come through the turnstile, and they've got to know that that's not acceptable. And I think that the club do a lot as a football club, both in the community to educate young kids and also the fans. And like I say, I believe in the Bristol City supporters because I've been here a long time, and I know that there's a lot of good people out there. And if it's proved that there has been any form of racism, everybody will be extremely disappointed with that.
And I know you guys, sometimes you film like the away end, your social media team, and so presumably it might be relatively easy to sort of...
Well, absolutely. I expect this, if there's a full investigation, and it's got to be full, and that includes anything that you can, whether that's people that have heard something or video footage or witness statements. And obviously it's my job to focus on the football, and if I'd have heard something, absolutely I would have given a statement. I didn't, and therefore I expect the police or whoever's involved and the safety advisor at the football clubs to deal with it and deal with it well.
It's down to fans, is it, to do their part and be responsible if they hear something? Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that like one thing it has brought, the awareness, is that positive element that people feel that they can call it out, if you like, without retribution, and I think that needs to continue.
Yeah, because there is a danger, isn't it? People will be afraid to do it because they don't want their club to be perceived as having a problem, I suppose. But it's the only way you're going to stop it.
Yeah, I think that we've got to treat this as a society thing, if you like, in terms of that education piece that we talked about earlier. And there's no place for it, whether it be in schools, football clubs, or the streets, if you like.
Cheers. Thank you.
Hi Lee. Just on the chanting and stuff like that, you obviously don't hear any of that. You're zeroed in on a game, I take it, during matches.
To be fair, I hear quite a lot actually. I've always been one of those, even as a player. I was one that heard everything from the crowd. Sometimes I stand on the sideline myself and I find myself muttering the Masengo song because it's quite catchy and stuff like that. So no, I generally do hear quite a lot. And you can hear sometimes grumbles and groans as much as the successes and the cheers.
I didn't ask you about this after the game the other day, but a lot of fans have pointed this out to me, that I think there were some heated discussions between yourself and Fam at the game on Saturday. Have you spoken to him since then at all about anything, and what do you put that down to? Is it just passion for the game, a will to win?
Yeah, I think, to be fair, there wasn't actually that much, to be honest. The situation was very simple. Famara, I felt, showed an attitude error. There's 3 errors that I would call in football on a match. One's a technical error, of which we can work with the individual. One's a tactical error, of which often I take upon myself, and then try and help the player. And then there's an attitude error, and I think often many things can go into an attitude error, and on the day I thought there was a few too many, not just from Famara but from our team, and one of those led me to substitute the player, because I felt I wanted to bring on fresh enthusiasm, if you like, and impetus. And as far as I was concerned, that was it. Obviously, you can't really see what's going on behind you when you're in the technical area, sort of focusing in on the game. And you're right. There's a lot of passion in any football match, and there's a lot of frustration as well when you go a goal or two down. And as always, we work with the individual after that, whether that be technical, tactical, or sometimes attitude error. We haven't got any bad people at the football club, and there's no bad eggs as such, but I do expect a certain discipline on the pitch, and I feel like I've been here long enough now that people understand what I'm about, what Lee Johnson and Steve Lansdowne and John Lansdowne, the Lansdowne family team should look like. And if you fall short of that, you're going to be told in no uncertain terms, and it's as simple as that, really. Does it affect the future? Absolutely not. We don't hold grudges at the football club. We move on very, very quickly and hope to enjoy a sterling performance on Wednesday.
Yeah, we had Fam in here last week, and I asked him about his relationship with you, and he said you know him and maybe know how to get the best out of him.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, like we said, I said after the game, went on record, like, for me, when he's at his best, there's no better striker in the division in terms of, like, he's powerful, he can run channels, he gets across people in the box. Yes, that is a challenge for him to be absolutely at it for 90 minutes of every game. I think the home game was a good example where for the first 30 minutes, unplayable. Obviously scored his goal from Nicholas Eliasson cross, and then maybe he and we faded a little bit as the game went on. So there's a concentration there from any player on the pitch that we demand, and of course it's up to them. We serve them in one way, because we have to make sure we have to do everything we can to get that player right, but at the same time they've got to earn their corn and earn their crust to hold what should be a heavy shirt, because a Bristol City shirt at the stage of our evolution that we're in should be very heavy and hard to retain.
Speaking of getting players right, then Jack Hunt, how's he doing at the moment? He was hobbling, wasn't he, at the end of the game?
Yeah, he reports better. He was struggling. It looked like he'd had a bit of a hamstring. Often that can be a cramp, in the type of situation. I think he just went to stretch to block a cross and extended his leg, and there was a cramp in there, and I think sometimes then the muscle tries to protect it. So he is having a scan today at 2:15, so he's had that scan. But at the same time, we very much believe and hope that it's precautionary.
And just on Adam, you kind of hinted that there was something more to that on Saturday. Is there anything more you can say on that?
No, there's nothing more to it. It's just that, he's got an extra bone in his ankle that he's had from a child. So obviously this injury, if you like, has aggravated that extra bone. There's a little bit of swelling and fluid. I told you, didn't I? He's gone for an injection, which he had on Sunday, I believe. So it's then a 10-day period of complete rest, to then hopefully get rid of the problem for good. So it's just been a niggly one. Without question of a doubt, he aggravated it on the initial Hungary call-up, and that was the bit that, of course, is frustrating for everybody, really. I understand he's very, very passionate about playing for his country, and the way the games are, they all feel like cup finals, but at the same time, we're important, and he's a very important player for us.
Will you have to speak to him at all about going away with Hungary at all?
Well, he went away again, and to be fair, everything was done okay. Like I say, they reported this scan back slightly different to how we would have reported on it. We sent him to London to see the top man in the world in his field, and like I say, have injected this particular area, and hopefully that will be the end of it. I mean, Adam himself feels like he's using the terminology of 90% fit, so it's only really extended passing and like sort of persistent twisting and turning that's making him feel uncomfortable. The worst case scenario to this is that the injection doesn't have any sort of improvement value, and an operation's needed to remove that small bone that was there from birth.
For those of us without a lot of medical knowledge, is it abnormal?
You're talking to a football manager, isn't it?
Well, okay, is it abnormal though to have an extra bone in your foot?
No, I don't think so. I think so. It's not a big bone. It's just like it's a tiny little bone that's just a little bit extra, and sometimes it can just impinge against the ligament.
Okay, and just on Rodri, wanted to ask. Obviously, he was over in 2012 with Sheffield Wednesday, and he played against Bristol City. Then I don't think you were involved in that match at all. I just wondered if he mentioned it at all about. Did he remember playing Bristol City, and how did he?
No, I think he remembered his first game. I think he might have scored on his debut or something like that. I think he said to me that was one of the most interesting games of my career.
Birmingham, I think.
Yeah, it was just the sort of the sheer blood and thunder and the speed of the championship. But no, he's looked sharp, and I like him. You know, I haven't seen him live, so it's very rare that we would sign somebody that I haven't seen live, but needs must. And what I've now seen of him over the last 3 or 4 days, he's my type of player.
Have you had any senior players playing today in the Millwall under-23s game?
Just Nicky Myper, like Aidan Baldwin, I think, but no like Smodic or Watkins or anything like that.
Okay, and just finally, Lee Bowyer. I think there's been a talk of a few transfer deals possibly in the past between Bristol City and Charlton. Is that indication maybe that you get on quite well with Lee Bowyer?
I don't know Lee. I know Lee Bowyer well enough just through like the management scene, but I was actually we had dinner recently at the Reading game when Reading played Fulham, so we had a good chat there. But he's done really well. Like you can see his passion. You can see his passion come across in his teams and the way they play. Just like Luton, like not a fancied team probably at the start of the year, but a very, very good team. I think this is why the Championship's so competitive. Very, very strong midfield. I really like their midfield. Quality player from Chelsea, Gallagher, Cullen doing very, very well. Likes of Jonathan Lecco, who's been dangerous. That we've had here before, so we know all about him and his strengths. So yeah, I think it's a really, really tough game, and I think our attitude towards the football match on Wednesday night will be imperative towards the result at the end.
Cheers.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.